Hello. Okay, so to add a little bit more pizzazz to your Mr. Badger, you might want to have some accessories. So today I'm going to show you how to make a pair of eyeglasses for Mr. Badger and a big stick. And the big stick is one of his primary tools against the weasels of the wildwood. So first we're going to start with the glasses. I find the best thing to use for the glasses is one of these large paper clips if you have them on hand. If you don't, you can use a piece of wire if you have that available, or you can use two smaller paper clips. We'll just have to tape them together in the middle. You can also use a pipe cleaner if you have one handy. That will work great as well. And if you are just using a pipe cleaner, you won't need this because you can cut this with scissors. But if you are using the paper clips or a wire, you probably need a pair of pliers that has a cutting bit in the middle. So this part right here, when you pinch the wire between it, will actually cut the wire. So this would be something you'd want to have an adult do for sure. All right, so to get our glasses shape, the first thing I'm going to do is unbend my paper clip so that I have a fairly straight wire. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. Okay. I'm going to use a pencil. Any old pencil will do. It doesn't have to be perfectly round. You can use one of the faceted ones. And what I'm going to do is come about a third of the way down, enough that I have enough wire on either side to use my thumbs, and I'm going to push the wire around the pencil, squeezing it in the back so that it bends and forms all the way around the pencil. Now you're going to have a hard time. You won't be able to slide it off the eraser end, so you're going to need to slide it off the point end. But what you're going to do is make sure you come a little bit around, so you want to have the wires actually pointing downwards. Okay. Now I'm going to slide the pencil out of the hole, and you'll see I've made one eyeglass hole. Now to make this one for the other eye, I'm going to move down a bit of the wire towards the longer section of the wire I have. I'm going to put my pencil underneath it again, and I'm going to twist the wire around the pencil again. Okay, and now the way that you control the distance between the two is once you have this roll, you can kind of unroll it or re-roll it more. You may end up rolling more of the side too, but you can always unfold that. So now you're going to end up with two eyeglass holes. Okay, once you have it in this shape, you can see it's all still perfectly flat. But now what we want to do is we've got these pieces extending out. Those are going to be the ear frame that goes behind his badger ear. It's actually just going to sit on top of his head, but it gives it a little prop to hold it upright. Okay, so I'm going to hold the glasses in my hand like this. I'm going to pick up my pliers, and I'm going to hold the circle and bend this part upward. Okay, so now I have an eyeglass piece. I want it to be slightly angled downward so that it'll sit on his face nicely. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the other side. Okay, again, I'm going to hold the eyeglass circle in between my fingers, grab the wire with the pliers there. If it's a little too rounded over, I can always grab just the front part of the wire and bend it, and holding the glasses thing, bend it back up a little bit. Okay, holding the circle of the frame, taking the wire, oops, and bending it upwards. Okay, so now I've got my two earpieces. I can use the pliers to straighten out this wire if it needs to be a little bit more straight. Okay, now I've got one side that's shorter and one side that's longer, and maybe neither one of them is the right size for my badger. Let's take a look. I could leave this side that long, or I can shorten it, either way. What I'm going to do to start off with though is I'm going to make these an even length. So in that part in the pliers that has the chopper bits, I'm going to line them up so that I'm going to end up with 2 even length wires, or about even length. And now I've got the wire between the 2 chopper bits, and I'm just going to pinch, and you want to hold the glasses and point the other section down at the table, and you're going to squeeze and wiggle this top part off. Okay, and that will leave you a little piece left. So now I can put the glasses on my badger, and he's got some eyeglasses. If you want them to stay on more permanently, you can poke a hole in the cardboard to push the glasses into. They sit pretty well on his face if you're not moving him around too much. If he's just sitting there wearing his glasses, you can leave him like that. So this is with a long enough piece of wire to create the glasses in one fell swoop. I can do the same thing if I have a piece of pipe cleaner. I'm going to mimic the exact same thing. Take a pencil, leave a piece of pipe cleaner, wrap it around the pencil, slide it off the tip of the pencil, move a little bit further down, wrap it around the pencil and slide it off. Now with the pipe cleaner, it's a smaller wire, so I can actually do all of this by hand. Okay, and I can actually use scissors even to cut the wire here. You may have to get pretty far down on the scissors though to have enough leverage to snip through that wire. Now it almost looks like he has sunglasses. You could use a larger thing like a marker or something like that to make bigger holes for the glasses parts if you wanted. Okay, now this one is trickier. If you've only got little paper clips, you're going to start out with the same thing. You're going to bend it so that your paper clip is fairly straight. And you're going to do that with the second paper clip as well. And I'm going to pick up my pencil again, hold the paper clip about half in the middle of it, and bend that around the pencil. Again, using my leverage in my fingers to bend it around. So now I'm going to end up with one eyeglass. I'm going to pick up the other paper clip and do the same thing. Okay, so now I've got 2 eyeglass particles. I'm going to take one side of that and make it my earpiece. So I'm just kind of bending it around to make it fairly straight. Same thing, I'm going to hold the circle for the eyeglass, and bend this straight up to be an eyeglass piece. And now I've got this extra length here. So what I want to do is, it's not enough to make a whole nother circle, but I'm going to have an overlap wire here. Okay, so I'm going to trim this same way using the cutter parts of the pliers. I'm going to leave a decent amount of space for the bar across the glasses. Okay, hold the glasses upright with the piece down, squeeze, wiggle the top. There's my throwaway piece of metal. And now I've got 1/2 my glasses. Now I'm going to take the other side that I made, holding the circle, folding that side upward to make the earpiece. Okay, but it's just opposite. It's exactly opposite the one you did on the other side, okay? So now you can see I'm going to assemble these 2 together. So I'm going to trim this part here. Again with my pliers and the cutting tool. Okay. Pinch. Wiggle off the top. Throw away the bottom. Okay, now I've got two pieces that if I overlap them, make the glasses. In order to attach these together, you could use a bit of hot glue if you have that on hand. You can also use a piece of Scotch tape, which is what I'm going to use here. I'm just going to tear off myself a little piece, it's hard to see, of Scotch tape. It's maybe about a ½ inch long. I'm going to take one of my pieces of wire, start to wrap the tape around that, add in my second piece of wire, and now wrap the tape around them both. Now this is going to end up with a much more fragile set of eyeglasses. It's just like when you tape your own eyeglasses together. They're very fragile. But if you just set them on your Badger, you do have a set of eyeglasses. And that's with the smaller paper clips. This just depends what you have at home. All right, so eyeglasses aside, to make a big stick for Mr. Badger, you can go outside and find one on a tree that makes a perfectly good stick if you want, but if you're stuck inside and you want a stick and you don't have any trees in your yard, we can make a stick from brown paper. Now this one is especially nice to do if you have a glue gun. You can do it with the other glue, you'll just have to wait in between. You can use brown paper from a brown paper bag. I've got some stuff from packaging, so I have this big sheet of brown paper. So what I'm going to do is take a length of it, tear off a strip. And this is way more than I need. So I'm going to get myself a piece of paper, just brown paper. You could do it with white paper if that's all you had, if you wanted a white stick. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to roll it and crinkle. Okay, so I'm using my fingers to roll and crinkle. And you'll notice I'm not doing it from the direct edge. I'm kind of doing it at an angle. It gives me a little bit more texture and a little bit more ruggedness to my stick. So again, just crinkling and rolling, crinkling and rolling. Okay, and that leaves me with just kind of a rolled up crinkly piece like this. Now this is pretty flimsy and whatnot, so it doesn't make a real good stick. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rolled up piece and continue to twist it. And as I twist it tighter, I'm just twisting all the way down the stick. It's going to get stronger. You can actually just twist this up real good and then cut the ends and you'll have a stick. But if you want to reinforce it with glue, what you'll do is you'll unroll it slightly, put some glue in here, and then twist it back up. Okay, so I'm going to unroll it slightly, slide some glue along there. I'm not touching the glue. I'm going to let the paper stick to itself. Okay, so I'm just twisting it back up. I'm going to let that set up for a minute. Keep it nice and twisted. I might have a little bit of glue blob up, that's okay. Just adds a little character to your stick. Now I'm going to move down. Do the same thing a little bit further down. Okay, and twist and roll. And it's actually Miss Celeste from Kids World that taught me this technique. Okay. And once you have a good section, a long enough section that's twisted and rolled, you can take your scissors and just chop off the ends. Now you have a nice stick for Mr. Badger to go beating about weasel heads. Okay. So that'll give you some things to do with your Mr. Badger. What can you think of, guys, to make for him? Perhaps you can find some items around the house to make him a lantern or a picnic basket. We would love to see what you come up with. Thanks again for hanging out with me and Mr. Badger.